So many of us spend a lot of our time and energy focusing on work. Implementing positive leadership practices can serve as a foundation for an effective working environment. Joining me in the studio is mental health professional Calissa Ngozi. Calissa, how important is it to advocate for your employees' mental health?
I mean, it's crucial. How are you going to have retainment in the workplace if you're not taking care of your people first, right? So I think a lot of times as managers and supervisors and even coworkers, we see people that are leading towards being burnt out, but we're not really doing anything about it because we're living in a world that glorifies exhaustion.
It does. So if you're a leader in an organization, how can you help foster, positive mental health and, so that you're not leading your employees into a situation where they're burnt out?
I think the first step is actually recognizing that it is a problem. Now we're in 2025, so talking about mental health is something that's okay, but are we actually taking the steps to move forward towards intentional change? So I think trying to find programs for your staff if that's possible, labeling, if you're feeling burnt out, if you need to indulge in self-care, then this as an employer is how I'm gonna set you up for success to be able to do that. Now we all work in different spaces. Some of us work in human services, some of us are teachers, some of us work without people, like whatever it looks like for you, your job has some element of stress in it. So it is really important that if you're feeling stressed, you should feel supported and have the ability to go to your employer and say, listen, like I'm having a hard time, I'm having problems, can you help me? And hopefully the response that you get is an empowering one.
Right, and how would you approach a conversation like that with your employer? Because sometimes your employer can be the one leading you
They can be the worst.
Down a path, right?
I said it.
All right, yeah.
I said it.
Call a spade a spade.
Right? They can be the one that's like, okay, but that's your job, right? But that's not helpful.
Right.
And at the end of the day, you're gonna burn yourself out and then you're no good to anybody. You're not good to your employer, you're not good to other employees, your coworkers, and then resentment starts to foster, and then we start to see residual effects of what that looks like, which is the opposite of productivity.
Right, exactly. So if you're feeling like, you have maybe a toxic boss or something, what are some other approaches that you would recommend for someone to either practice self-care on their own, or, are there other approaches within the workplace that you would take to, kind of try and have that conversation with the employer to let them know gently,
knock it off.
You're the problem here, yeah.
I think there's a multi-layered approach here.
Sure.
So first of all, you need to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. And I hear from a lot of people, okay, you can tell me that, but I don't have enough space in the day. Yes, there's 24 hours in a day, but you need to find, even if it's 5 minutes on your own, to do something that's for yourself. So I don't care if it's locking yourself in the bathroom and scrolling on Instagram, if it's taking a nap, if it's waking up before your kids, if you have kids, but you need to find that space so that you can reinvest in yourself and realign so that you can be productive. Now, when we transfer and go towards the actual workplace and having those hard conversations, if you don't have a good relationship with your boss, or if you're intimidated, there is HR, I would hope, that you can kind of speak with and have a conversation and say, listen, this is what I'm struggling with. How should I approach that? Now, typically we like you to go directly to the person first, but sometimes that's not always an option.
So I know, some workplaces are so great. They encourage employees to take mental health days and that sort of thing. Not every workplace is like that. So what are some other things that folks can do, in the workplace for themselves and for their coworkers to kind of engage in self-care throughout the day?
Well, I think taking that space, if you have a lunch break or you have like a dinner break, go outside in nature, go find a way to kind of reconnect with yourself, because it can be stressful, whatever you do.
Yep.
So it's about finding those tangible moments to actually be able to move forward. I always say there's a famous Steve Jobs quote, and I'm going to kind of mess this up a little bit, but he essentially says that if you wake up in the morning and you're not happy with where you're going to work, then you need to do something differently. Right? And I think, again, it's easier said than done, but stress can actually kill. Like stress has physical symptoms, and you need to take a look at your life, and if you're able to make a transition, then you need to look at doing that.
Excellent, and it's really a lot to think about. As we wrap up here, are there some places that folks can go for resources, for wellness at work and wellness at home too, right? Because it's a holistic approach to your life that you need to take, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, at home, if you have kids, bless you, because they can be stressful, right? So hopefully you have a partner, or if you're a single parent, maybe you have friends, to take that space and time that you need for yourself, right? The other piece too is start to maybe invest in yourself. So whether that's going to the gym, whether it's even doing meditation and yoga and mindfulness and those things on your own, go look on YouTube. Whatever it is, you need to find what works best for you. And at the workplace, hopefully you have access to like an EAP program or something that has like benefits that you can do counseling and therapy. You know, there's wellness groups, all of these pieces. But Google, there's lots of free stuff as well.
Perfect. Calissa, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. Always learn some new tips and tricks for keeping well out there in this world. So thanks again for being on today.
No, thanks for having me.